This fight is definitely well deserved, and it's earned for both guys. And I think it's a fight that needs to happen for the division. It's an
Mhm.
important fight to happen for the division, especially because Volkanovski is fighting for the lightweight title. It's must see TV because this fight is going to be messy.
What's up, guys? Laura Sanko here. Dean Thomas as well, the man, the myth, the legend, the coach joining us. He's, you know what? We're making it official. He's part of the team. Thank you for joining us, Dean. We're going to talk a little UFC 284 co-main event. Man, another interesting clash of styles. Both guys, Yair Rodriguez, Josh Emmett, challenging for the vacant featherweight title. Interesting juxtaposition with the main event, of course. But Emmett, powerful striker, and Yair Rodriguez, I mean, he puts the art in martial arts.
I love it. I can't wait. I mean, and I've been so hard. I feel so bad because I've been so hard on Josh Emmett. I
What
have
have you
been.
been saying, Dean? What you been saying?
No, I just, in terms with Josh Emmett, I've really been just because he doesn't have the fan base to
Yeah.
really push for him to get these type of fights.
Mhm.
And when you talk about his merit, like he's done everything he's needed to do in order to get this fight, but he hasn't really had the push from the fans to demand it. Like if he was somebody else, sometimes the fans demand him to get these positions.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that he was able to get this. So this is a good spot for him, and he's earned it. He deserves to be here. But this is a fight that I really believe can get bloody, and I really
Yeah.
believe this can get ugly. I think this fight can be. I think this fight could be messy.
Yeah.
And but for that reason, it's must see TV because this fight is going to be messy.
Yeah. We love
And
a little bit of blood.
yeah, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of blood, and I think it's going to. And I think that. Oh man, I mean, I'm thinking in my head about some of the things that Yair does in fights,
What
and
are you
I'm just thinking.
picturing? What are you
I'm
picturing?
picturing. I'm picturing Yair doing all these crazy fancy kicks and
Yeah.
just slipping out of the way of like a lot of big shots. But this fight is definitely well deserved, and it's earned for both guys. And I think it's a fight that needs to happen for the division. It's an
Mhm.
important fight to happen for the division, especially because Volkanovski is fighting for the lightweight title.
Yeah. I think Josh Emmett can be pretty underrated at times. You know, he does have some insane finishes. I mean, like what he did to Michael Johnson, my God. I mean, ugh. But then and Bektic as well, Mirsad Bektic. But then the last three, you know, have been decisions. They've been great fights, hard fought fights, but decisions. But the resume, man, I mean, the resume of Josh Emmett is not one to be overlooked. Calvin Cater, Dan Ige, Shane Burgos, Mirsad Bektic, Michael Johnson. That's just the current win streak that he's on. That's a murderer's row of really tough strikers and tough fighters in general. And Yair Rodriguez been in the game forever. He hasn't been able to fight nearly as frequently for a number of reasons, but also has this history of fighting some of the best in the division. So when you look at like the question of experience, whose experience matters more? I guess the recent experience of having this nice 5 fight run against some guys that hit really freaking hard, or the longer history, a little bit more spread out of facing perhaps consistently higher ranked guys.
I don't think that their experience is going to come into play as that much. I
Mm.
don't think so. I think that there are so many unknown factors, going over to a different country, fighting for the title for the first time for both guys. I think that
Yeah,
all those different you know, they're kind of at a level playing field in terms of inexperience in this spot, in this very particular spot,
sure.
because they neither of them have been here before.
Yeah.
So I don't think that their prior experience of their past opponents, I don't think that's going to really be that much of a factor. I think the newness of this, of fighting for the title in Australia, different time zone, is going to be even for both of them.
Mhm.
I really do. I really think it's going to be even for both of them. And they both come from good camps that have good people behind them that can kind of give them some advice along the way. I mean, having Uriah Faber for Josh Emmett, I think that's going to be a big key for him to like kind of keep him. Hey, listen, man, we're going over here to do this, and if Josh Emmett brings what's his name, Danny Castillo
Danny
with him.
Castillo, yep.
I mean, that's like having Danny Castillo with you, man. Like that dude will get you fired up. Get
Random
anybody
funny
fired up.
story. I gotta take this tangent. Like 5 years ago, I carried Danny Castillo on my shoulders across a flooded hotel. Not even making that up.
Why?
Because he didn't want to get his shoes wet.
Are you serious?
Yep. And I was like, oh, now I'm gonna really embarrass you. And I just fireman's carry, put it on my shoulder. Like, it's okay, Danny. Let's not get those shoes messed up because there was about the hotel flooded that we were in.
And he didn't want to get his shoes wet.
No, there's like 4 or 5 inches of standing water. I was like, I got this.
Oh my God. He should never be able to live that one down.
Yeah.
He ain't taking shoes. He was like, yo, Lord, can you carry me over?
Oh, I offered because I wanted to embarrass him. I wanted to give him shit.
Well, that's great.
He's like, let's walk around. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's just some water. Like, walk through the water. Don't be a pussy.
Oh, hell no, Danny.
So sorry. I had to share my Castillo moment.
Which is very odd for a man who every time I see him at fights, man, he's got this scowl.
Oh, he's tough.
He's super tough. And it's like he eats meat with his hands, like wherever he goes.
Yeah, but he won't get his shoes wet, Dean.
But he won't get his shoes dirty.
Nope.
Oh, hell no. He ain't gonna be able to live that one down, Laura Sanko.
Remind him next time you see him. Remind him. Let's talk a little 30,000 foot strategy. I mean, when you have Josh Emmett, super powerful, and frankly, I think his power, if you're one of those fans that only looks at the Tapology, you may not really understand just how powerful this guy is. I mean, 11 knockdowns is crazy for that division. Don't always lead to the type of finish that we saw against Michael Johnson, but he's knocking guys down a lot. And then you got Yair Rodriguez, who has just an encyclopedia of weaponry that he can pull out in a variety of different ways. I mean, it would be very difficult to game plan against that creativity of striking. Where does Josh Emmett need to take this fight? And where does Yair Rodriguez need to take this fight?
Well, I mean, and that's what I love about the game of MMA today, because it's so sophisticated and it's so complex when we can look at two totally different type of strikers. And essentially, like on paper, they're strikers in their own way, but they couldn't be more polar opposite in terms of how they do it. When you talk about Josh Emmett, he's such a powerful, compact, explosive puncher. And then Yair is such a creative, artistic, smooth. And when you watch him go, it's such a contrasting of styles.
Yeah.
So I think really that's what it comes down to. I think, but at the end of the day, they have to meet somewhere in the middle of who can execute over the other.
I can see, I'm with you. I can see a world in which Josh Emmett, I mean, he's so phenomenal at pressuring because people know it's like he can pressure with his presence alone. And he's got that, that bomb that everybody knows he can drop. And, just traditionally speaking, you want to crowd the kicker. And Yair Rodriguez, one of his biggest weapons is his kicking game. You want to crowd the creativity in general. But then you think, yeah, but once you get the clinch, I mean, Yair Rodriguez is just vicious with the elbows. So what do you think about the range? I mean, where does Josh Emmett want this fight to be range-wise?
He's obviously got to be closer. And like that could be a problem for him so when you talk about range and distance management and all that stuff, I think the big key of that is Yair Rodriguez's foot speed. I mean, and I'm not talking about like how fast he kicks, but I'm talking about how fast he's able to move from side to side and get around in different ways. And I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for Josh Emmett. I think that Yair Rodriguez's foot speed and just the angles of which he delivers his weapons can give a lot of problems for a guy like Josh Emmett. Because if you look at the Calvin Kattar fight with Josh Emmett, Calvin Kattar gave him some problems with just a jab. Like the jab alone gave him a lot of problems. It gave him enough problems to where Calvin thought he didn't need to do anything else, in which he didn't do anything else, which cost him the fight because he thought it was enough. And that's just one thing coming from one angle. I think that Yair Rodriguez is a little bit quicker than Calvin Kattar. And I think that his angles of which he's able to deliver his kicks and his punches is going to give Josh Emmett problems when you add that in and you factor that in with his foot speed. So it's going to be hard for him to cover his range, to cover that range, because every time he steps in, he's going to get hit with something different.
And Yair can fight very well moving backward.
Yes, he fights very well moving backwards, and he's going to hit you with a lot of different stuff. But the one thing about Josh Emmett that we know is that he can take a shot.
Yeah.
He can take a shot. So I think, but in 5 rounds, it's going to be hard to take all of that. So yeah. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to get through all of that in 5 rounds. But we do know that he has game-changing power. Like, that's the thing, though, is that you can't never count those guys out who have game-changing power. And that's the other beauty of this sport, is when a guy has game-changing power, I mean, it's just like that. Like, it's like, it's like a football game being decided by a kickoff. Like, it just happens just like that, and it's over. And we've seen it with Usman and Leon. So, but Yair Rodriguez, and this is the advantage that he has going for him. I'll tell you this now. Culturally, being a Mexican fighter allows them to stay in longer than they probably should.
Yeah.
So even if he gets hit with a big shot, if it doesn't put him out cold, that I don't think it means much. It's like Josh Emmett's going to have to put him out cold,
0 quit,
in order to stop him. Yeah, because he's not going to have no quit. I mean, we've seen that in Yair Rodriguez. It's crazy because he looks like such a sweetheart.
I know.
But then you hear him talk. He's like, Jesus, that came out of his mouth.
You're right. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah, it is. It's definitely it's a very interesting clash of styles. And I was trying to think of a way to describe, what it would feel like if the mission was to close the distance on Yair Rodriguez to some degree, which I think it is, to crowd those kicks and crowd that creativity. It's like walking into a wood chipper. Yeah, it's like there's just so much going on, and it's coming at you from every single angle. I'm with you. I think that's going to that could scramble a lot of people's brains, and could very easily scramble Josh Emmett's brain to the point where even in those micro hesitations, because you're not used to having to defend from, whatever angle it is, that can change the course of a fight for sure. But it's going to be a fun one. Could be bloody, like you said, Dean. Get the mops out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really bloody. I do think it's going to be bloody because of both guys are so tough. And for Josh, and for both guys too, they don't fight all that frequently to allow an opportunity like this to get out of hand. Right. So like they haven't been out for a long time to where they can be like, nah, I'll just come back next month. Like these guys are like, yo, I've been out for a long time. I don't fight that much. I need to take full advantage of this opportunity. And especially for a guy like Josh Emmett, who knows in order for him to actually become a star or a respected champion, he needs a belt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's the type of guy that's going to get lost in the shuffle.
And he's 37.
Yeah, he's 37. Yeah, for sure.
This is the time.
Yeah. And I didn't even factor that in, him being 37. Like it's now or never for him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get lost in the shuffle or be forced to like retire.
Do you think a longer fight favors either guy?
I think a longer fight favors Yair. I think because of Yair's ability to peel your layers off and ability to, and his ability to hurt you and scar you throughout the duration of a fight. Like the longer you're in there with a guy like that, the worse it's going to be for you, because like you're going to come out the first round with a cut here and a cut here. Then you're going to come out the second round with battered shins and another cut. And you're just going to get beat up in a lot of different areas. So you kind of want to get those guys out of there earlier rather than later, because the longer you're in there with them, the more damage you're going to take.
And even if there's 1 second left.
Yes.
1 second left. You can put your lights out. That was one of the craziest finishes we've ever seen in UFC history versus Korean Zombie. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, you're probably not watching my channel, because only a diehard would watch my channel, and for sure diehard would have seen that fight.
And I don't even think he fought that great of a fight in that fight. I thought that he fought the Korean Zombies fight. I thought that he stood toe to toe with the Korean Zombie. So like, and that's the other thing too, is it because of his Mexican, combat heritage. Yes.
Yeah.
If he decides that he wants to try to take that fight, that's a bad idea. So And sometimes we've seen that. Sometimes they just come out and go, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a warrior. So he's got to really be a competitor first in this fight.
Do you think that's an opportunity for Josh Emmett to try to fight his ego a little bit? Maybe
Absolutely.
draw him
Like
into a brawl? Yeah.
for sure. If I'm Josh Emmett, I'm calling him names. I'm saying all kind of bad things to him.
Josh Emmett's not going to do that. Maybe
Yeah,
in the fight, I've
no,
never seen him
I'm
do it.
call, I'm doing everything I can to get him out of position. I'm turning straight racist on him. I'm like, you you
I think they can disqualify you for that stuff.
well, I mean, like before the fight, you know what I'm saying? Before
I
the
got
fight.
you.
Yeah,
I
before the
got
fight,
you.
I'm saying all kind of stuff. I'm like, tacos suck. You know what I'm saying? Like Taco Bell is the
What?
best Mexican food
You
ever,
did not just say that. I got you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you. You start insulting tacos. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm starting to insult everything and then try to get him to stand toe to toe because that's a good path of victory here because of his power.
yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm excited for that one too. That's going to be a fantastic fight. Thank you, as always, Dean, for your time. We appreciate you. Have you on next time, hopefully.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Listen,
All right.
listen. I set up. I wait for this. I look forward to this. I look forward to these conversations with you.
I can tell you have a light now. You got headphones.
I have a light, my headphones, my mic. I can hear. Yeah,
I
I'm good.
know.
I'm good to go. So whenever you want to chop it up, all you gotta do is holler at your boy. I'm
All right.
here
Well,
for
we'll
you.
see you at 285 then. How's that sound?
That's right. I'm
All
here.
right. Guys, keep it locked in right here. We've got more one-on-one headed your way.